Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are someone who plays a lot of draw games like I have over the course of my poker career, there's been something that's always bothered me a little bit about playing Deuce-to-Seven and playing Ace-to-5, and that's that everyone feels like Ace-to-5 triple draw and Ace-to-5 games in general are sort of the nitty younger brother of Deuce-to-Seven. And I thought I would look in the lab today and take a look at a couple of fairly identical river solve toy game situations here and see if that is actually the case. We finally can look this up in a fairly fair experiment where I've got a 6 big bet pot on the left in Deuce-to-Seven and a 6 big bet pot on the right in Ace-to-5. And we're going to take a look at the frequencies for betting and checking according to my solver data and figure out whether or not Ace-to-5 truly is a nittier, more careful game than Deuce-to-Seven. So when I go to do this experiment, there's one thing that is going to always be a little bit of a variable, and that's the ranges that I put in for the river. So, of course, you tinker with the ranges, and it is going to tinker with the outcome of any solver. But for the purposes of what I have here on the lab today, on the left in the Deuce-to-Seven simulation, the tight D1 ranges for both players are 4-card 8-6 draws and better, so that's 8-6 draws all the way down to wheel draws. And on the right, we have all 4-card 6 draws and better in Ace-to-5. These are both fairly tight ranges that like a normal human pro would get to the river with in both of these games, and I think it leads to a fairly fair fight, even though we may see some small differences here. So I'm going to go ahead and make this screen a little bit bigger and get rid of the sidebar for both so we can really look at the frequencies side by side. Deuce-to-Seven on the left, Ace-to-5 on the right, and we are right here at the start, OOP first to act. And the first thing I noticed that, yes, indeed, the solver will play a little bit more passively here on the right simulation in Ace-to-5. It's betting 41% of the time. On the left in Deuce-to-Seven, it's betting 42% of the time. So a slight difference, and the first data point that shows that maybe Ace-to-5 is a little bit more of a careful game on the river. Let's compare apples to apples here and look at both players' strategy for the in-position action after a check. So on the left, we have a check on the Deuce-to-Seven game, and on the right, we have a check in the Ace-to-5 game. And once again, we see a small but significant difference in this strategy. In the Ace-to-5 sim, the in-position player is betting here 64%. And on the left sim, he's betting 66%. So overall, it does appear that in Ace-to-5, the solver is a little bit careful about opening the action, more so in Ace-to-5 than in Deuce-to-Seven. Let's go ahead and move to the next node and look at how the out-of-position player will react to a bet. Now, this is going to depend a little bit more on the betting range, so I'm not sure if this is going to tell us too much about the actual strategy, but we will probably get to see something from the raise frequency. So let's see how the raise frequencies compare. On the left in Deuce-to-Seven, it's raising 14, and on the right in Ace-to-5, 13.7 with a little bit more folding as well. So pretty consistently across the board in the Ace-to-5 sim, it is being a little bit more careful. It is a little bit more foldy. It is a little bit more call happy and not raise happy, and just in general playing smaller pots and closing the action. One more node maybe to take a look at would be the in-position player facing a bet, and we'll go ahead and make that a fair fight across both ranges here. And Deuce-to-Seven, we're getting a value raise 24%. 24.2 to be precise. Ace-to-5, value raised 23.6. That's not all value. Some of those are going to be bluffs. And again, more folding in Ace-to-5, 16.7 versus 14.8. So it does appear that there is some wisdom to the idea that Ace-to-5 is a more straightforward and nitty game than Deuce-to-Seven. I think this is a fairly fair test, and we are seeing consistently at every major node here on the river games in the exact same size pot, in the exact same size simulation where both players have a 4-bet cap and have equal ranges, so 50-50 hot and cold equity for both players. We are seeing that in the Ace-to-5 game, we are seeing more careful play. We're seeing a little bit more tight passive play and more folding and less raising from both players. So I feel like this is a fair experiment, and it does show that Ace-to-5 might be a little bit of a nittier game than Deuce-to-Seven. The ranges are probably condensing very quickly. The chance that you run into a premium hand like a wheel is a little bit higher. We can go ahead and take a look at like just one root node to sort of confirm that. If I open up the actual hands and load the actual hands here, let's just look at these two ranges, and I want you to pay attention to the percent of range on the far right column for both. So in Deuce-to-Seven, this sim has the out-of-position player making the nuts 1.96% of the time, and the in-position player makes a wheel 2.5% of the time. So I'm pretty sure this has a lot to do with what we're seeing here, which is that because the ranges are so narrow, it's just a little bit easier in this sim for the out of position player to have more draws to make a wheel, and as a result, he's going to have a wheel at a higher frequency, and that is probably making both players play a little bit more careful because the penalty for getting raised is that they're going to run into the nuts a little bit more frequently. I would have to dive into the individual combos a little bit more to say because the equity difference is not substantial, but but in this situation, we are seeing the ace to five wheel being more prevalent in the range than the deuce to seven wheel. So that probably does have something to do with it. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this experiment. What else could I look up that would be beneficial for us? Remember, if you really want to dive into the ranges and the strategy for these deuce to seven and ace to five sims, you're going to have to join the lab and check this out. These are available for my premium customers on the pro and the donkeys only tiers. But for now, let me know what questions you have and what this makes you think about. Deuce to seven and ace to five are certainly both popular games, and it does appear that if you want a little bit more action, maybe Deuce to seven's the place to find it. See you guys in the comments. Thanks a lot.